Can't we just make the spiritual path simple and pure? I feel like the word spirituality has been tainted. Like it was super cool and then it got so popular that like you don't even really want to be spiritual anymore because it's just kind of gotten out of control a little bit. And I think people mean well, but there's so much noise out there. And the problem is that people are really suffering. Like life is suffering. That's what Buddha says. It's the first noble truth. Life is suffering. And we're really good at making our Instagram pages look like we're not suffering, but we all know we are. And so we seek relief, right? We just want to feel good. We want to be happy. Internally, we're all good people. It's just, why is it so hard to just be happy and feel good? So we end up seeking all these things, and there's all these people out there selling programs, and you know, it's kind of messy. And the problem is sometimes they kind of work, and then you kind of convince yourself that you're healing, and then 5 years pass and you realize you're right back where you started. And it's really frustrating. I've been on this spiritual path for 20 years, and it's been a lot of that. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, I mean, it's all part of the pathway, and I learned a lot, but I'm going to tell you in this video, really simply distilled the pathway to self-realization and enlightenment. Very simple. Simple, but not easy. So, what happens is, when we're first born, we decide that we are separate. We identify with the I, with your name, or like when you're a kid and you have a toy and you're like, this is mine. You're like, that's when the whole identity, the false self, identifies, and that's a separation. I'm gonna go through this pretty quick because I want to just get to the point here, and that starts to cause traumas, and traumas begin to stack up. These traumas, well, before you get the traumas, you get fear and desire, and whenever you don't get what you want, or you get what you don't want, then you get more traumas that stack up, and that can start with literally not getting breast milk when you wanted it. I mean, that can literally be the beginning of it. All the way up to these certain initial traumas, everything that's related to it will stack onto that. It's literally energetics like cooking to your body. And I have some other videos where I explain how all that works. It's pretty cool. But basically, we go through life just like every time something doesn't go our way or something goes a way that we didn't want, right? We begin to add these energies in it. Like, this is trauma. This is also called samskaras, okay? So you guys understand that, pretty basic. And these samskaras block. Like, if you imagine that you have the energy coming up your through your chakras, and we all get usually to about the third chakra. You know, the first chakra is about survival. The second chakra is about sensation. The third chakra is about power and ego, and that's where 99% of the world gets stuck. And some people have a little bit into the heart. Women actually spend more time in heart than men do, for sure. But the reason that our energy gets stuck is because we've got all of these trapped energy bodies of samskaras that don't allow the energy to flow all the way up. And it's really that simple. So you just have to clear the traumas, and then the energy can flow up. So how do you clear the traumas? That's why it comes down to this. How do we clear the traumas? And why is spirituality so lost? Why isn't everybody healing? The reason is because you have to be willing to look at your false self and begin to dissolve it. And the problem with that is, this is the ego. That's how you dissolve trauma, is you simply... Okay, let me tell you how to dissolve trauma, and then I'll tell you basically how the ego is what's causing all the problems. All you have to do to dissolve trauma is you have to have three things: awareness, presence, and self-truth. And you have to realize that however well you know these things, they go 100 times or 1,000 times deeper than you know them right now. So you have to have this willingness. You may have wrote a book on presence. You may have wrote a book on self-truth or awareness. Even if that's the case, even if you're like a renowned world speaker on these subjects, you still have to have the frame of mind that there's 99% I still don't know. Because no matter how big of an expert you are, that's always going to still be true. And so with that frame of mind, we've all been spiritually educated on self-truth, awareness, presence. Like you're probably saying, I know these things. You have a understanding of them, but are you truly experiencing them, and at what level? So with those things, with presence, meaning you're in the moment, with awareness, meaning you're feeling your body, and with self-truth, meaning you're willing to be raw and you're willing to actually dismantle the falseness, the false mask that 99% of the world is wearing, that's living from the ego mind. You just sit down when you have anything that's bothering you, anything at all, and you have to, this is also the awareness. We go through our lives just hustling to do things. Why can't you sit? Why do you have to get to the gym? Why do you have to do the dishes right now? Why do you have to go here, go do that? The truth is because you can't sit and be with yourself. And this is also why people aren't healing, because they can't turn and look inward. They're looking external for everything that's going to fix them. And it doesn't work. So simply, the spiritual path is very simple. All you have to do is sit down and be with yourself. Silence, stillness, and observe. That's it. And over time, that starts to release these samskaras. And as the samskaras release, I'm going through this in fast forward, guys, but as these samskaras release, the energy rises. At some point, it comes all the way up, and boom, the illusion of separation is completely gone forever. And during that process, you get massive rewards along the way as well. But the reason why people don't do this, it's very simple. And you're probably thinking to yourself, yeah, that makes sense. Why don't people do this? Because the ego mind is so insidious. Like it will trick you for 2,000 lifetimes before you can truly look at it. And that's why I said you have to have the willingness to realize that your self-truth, your awareness, and your presence can go so much deeper than you've ever gone. That's the only way. Because when you sit down, and even when you hear this, you know who's hearing this right now? Your ego mind. So as you start to perform this, your ego mind's going to give you 483 reasons why you need to get up off the couch and why you shouldn't do this. Simply for the very fact that what you're doing will kill it. Literally. And it doesn't want that. And you have to continue back to the couch, back to meditation, back to sitting down, back to the inner work. I would say that this takes about the time it takes, based on my experience and what I've read, I would say this takes about the time it takes to get a bachelor's degree. I think that's a great analogy. If you want to really just bust it out and really go after it and make it your number one priority, your top intention in your life. By the way, it's the most noble thing you can do. It's the only way to fix the world. It is by far the best thing you can do for yourself, for your children, for everyone in your life, for the world. You want to save the earth? This is how you do it. If you go really, really hard, you might be able to do it in 2 years. Maybe you've already done some work. Of course you have. But that's the problem with all this spiritual work, is it's just like there's authors out there, there's teachers, they're teaching you how to change your personality. So you have one web here and then you just add a different personality here. Guys, anything that just continues to build out the personality is going the wrong way. All that stuff has to come back out. And that's why 99% of the stuff that's being taught is bullshit. It's being taught by people that don't have the courage to look inward. That's the truth. And what they've done is they found something that brings temporary relief, but remains, you remain trapped. You remain trapped. And you know that if you've been in the industry for a while, or you've been in the spiritual world, you know that. You know that, and it's painful. And it's time to really heal. But to truly heal, it takes a massive amount of courage. Because everything you think about who you are, most of it, gets completely annihilated. And that's scary, but it's also the most liberating damn thing you'll ever do in your life. But nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to sit down on the couch. And even if they do, they start, when I say, there's an actual technique that I teach. It's called the roar method. Relax, observe, allow, release, the roar method. But you don't need a technique. You don't need my technique. If you want it, it's in the description, but you don't have to use my technique. That's not the point here. The reason I give a technique is because so many people are, and me included, by the way, when I started this work, it's so hard to see this because you're using it's your ego mind that's hearing this. And so you're going to come up with all these things. Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. This other thing's working. Human design will work. Gene Keys will work. If I just do more ayahuasca, I'll be fine. Whatever. There's nothing wrong with any of those things. But until you turn inward, the suffering will continue. So you don't need a technique, but you just need to be true using the three things I mentioned: presence, awareness, and self-truth, and just truly go in and start to release these things. And the idea here, for most of us, we can't sit for 5 minutes. How about 10 seconds without having thoughts run through our minds? Try it right now. Close your eyes and go 10 seconds without a thought. It's hard, right? So over time, you start to take dominion back over the mind. This is mastery, guys. This is the only true work. Like, there's nothing else that's even close to as important as this is in your life. Nothing. And you start to take mastery back over the mind, and then you come to silence, and eventually stuff starts to rise, and you sit down and you feel these subtle anxieties, and you rise them up and out, and they come out of you. And that release experience of releasing samskaras it's an amazing experience. It's magical. It's terrifying. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. It's ugly. You cry. Your nose fills up with water. You remember stuff. It's amazing. It's amazing to see your energy body peel off right in front of you. It's most importantly, it's liberating. So this video turned out to be a little longer, but in summary, the spiritual path is simple. Sit down and be with yourself. And that doesn't mean go into your mind and come up with some concoction of how you're going to overcome and make your rent, or make the next million, or get the person to like you, or that's not spiritual work. All that stuff you're being taught by, I'm not even going to say names. It doesn't, manifestation, quantum field. Oh my gosh, guys, just go inside and undo the mess. That's it. That's the only thing that's going to work. I say this out of love because I wasted 15, almost 20 years. I didn't waste them. I got my spiritual PhD, and I developed a spiritual ego the size of Manhattan, which I had to get rid of as well. So it's all internal, man. It's all internal, and it's not internal in the sense, just to give you an idea, it's not internal in the sense of closing my eyes and I'm building this idea of who I am, and I'm changing it, and I'm changing this thought, and I'm affirming this thought, and I'm removing that thought. That's mind. You're never going to beat the mind with the mind. It's about silence and stillness and release. It's not about adding anything. It's not a construction. It is a deconstructive process. Completely back to your original form. That's the only truth. Silence and stillness is the only thing you can trust. No one can do this for you. Know thyself and be free.